Good morning, everyone. We are beginning this week. We started yesterday, but today is the first work day of the week. And I'd like to start wishing you a wonderful week. We all can together continue to serve in the divine plan through the name of Messiah, using the minds, the thoughts, and the soning that God is revealing to us through many, many things. This week, we will continue to study what we have been studying regarding Johrei. This time, it was released last Saturday. I studied material that the successor of the Kyoshu and Masaaki Okada, he is the son of Kyoshu-sama, and he prepared one very wonderful study material regarding Johrei. And that is in the description of the video, this material. Later on, we're going to be sending to you by email and by also WhatsApp. So you can also have with you when you can print, and maybe during this week when we have our studies, we can study together. So this is the title. It's called The True Johrei. Kyoshu-sama clears the way for a new era. By Masaaki Okada, April 18, 2020. He starts saying, right now, the entire world is being affected by the novel coronavirus. Because of it, it's being recommended that not only gatherings, but contact with people primarily be avoided, and if it is necessary to come in contact with people, to keep a distance of at least 2 meters, 6 feet. In these kinds of circumstances, how should we think about Johrei? Think about this. It's very far away. Before, we had to keep a distance, which be around 1 meter from Johrei or 3 feet apart. But now we have to keep a longer distance. How are we going to practice that? But before, he says, on Johrei, Kyoshu-sama says, with his boundless love, God watches over us just the way we are, listens to whatever voices and thoughts we have in our minds, and through his light of Johrei, welcomes all into his heaven as ones who are forgiven and saved. So as we have been studying all last week, there's like a repetition here, but sometimes we need to repeat things a little over in order for us to grasp in a different way too. Even myself, right? Especially myself, let's say in that way. So God is welcoming all of us, not as people with a heavy burden on their shoulders, so many impurities, people they are sinners. No, God is welcoming us into his heaven as ones who were forgiven and saved. The Lord God forgives us and saves us everything he sees with his light and receives it into his hand. So everything God is watching, he's receiving with his hand of salvation. Therefore, if we realize something or a thought comes into our mind, be it a positive or a negative one, no matter how trivial we think it is vital that we say to God, "Oh God, I thank you for you have seen me." And at the same time that we surrender ourselves to him with the thought, in the name of Messiah, which is one with Meishu-Sama, as one who is forgiven and saved, I commit all to you, O Lord God. Please use me for the work of your will. So let's repeat this here. That is something very, very deep. It's a prayer that Kyoshu-sama is encouraging us to communicate ourselves with God in a daily basis. He's saying, so we say to God, "Oh God, I thank you for you have seen me." See me what? My thoughts, my way of living. God is seeing everything for us. He's always watching for us. He's always watching our backs. He's always watching our six. And then we communicate to God, surrendering ourselves, saying what? In the name of Messiah, which is one with Meishu-Sama, as one who is forgiven and saved, I commit all to you, O Lord God. Please use me for the work of your will. We are in the name of Messiah, which is one with Meishu-Sama. We are first accepting God's forgiveness and being saved by Him. Then we commit ourselves to God and we ask God to be used in His divine plan. To acknowledge that the great divine light of the Lord God shines in everyone and everything. Forgiveness and salvation have reached all, and carrying that glory to surrender to Him the whole of ourselves together with everyone and everything. This work of Sone, or the mind, I believe, is the work of Johrei, that the Lord God is most happy with it. Again, so acknowledge that the God's light is already everywhere. That God's forgiveness and salvation also reached everyone. At the same time, we carry the glory of God within us. And we surrender to God, to the Lord God, all of ourselves. We surrender everything. And Kyoshu-sama is saying that is in itself a great work, a work of Johrei that the Lord God is most happy. And today in this study is very interesting because you will see how Meishu-Sama was actually practicing and teaching Johrei in the end of his life. I will say something here to you, you might be surprised. But even when Meishu-Sama was alive, after Meishu-Sama had the stroke, the brain hemorrhage, many people, many disciples of Meishu-Sama, they are not actually following Meishu-Sama anymore. They were saying things about Meishu-Sama. And that's why when we see the situation, all the purification happening also in our church, that people really try to hide what Meishu-Sama had left to us, especially in the last year of his life. And why people try to hide that? It's most important for you to understand that because people want to save their way of doing things that they are used to and they think was the perfect way. But by doing that, by trying to protect what they thought, I include myself, I wasn't alive, but I include myself. We were actually stopping Meishu-Sama to do his work. And that's something that I don't think it's the perfect way for us that really want to follow Meishu-Sama. So if you really want to follow Meishu-Sama, it's very important that we see what Meishu-Sama was seeking from the whole time. And Kyoshu-sama and Masaaki-sama, they are revealing to us all that. And this study material is it's really a treasure for us too, because it shows us and how Meishu-Sama was practicing his faith, especially after he had the brain hemorrhage, after he announced the Messiah was born. That's what we're going to be studying here. And then Masaaki-sama continues. Kyoshu-sama is teaching us that because the light of God within each and every one of us is illuminating us, various thoughts and feelings welled up in our hearts and minds. God receives those thoughts and feelings through His own hand. He says that we must recognize this first, and to know that this work of surrendering everything to God, this work of zoning or of the mind, is the work of Johrei, that the Lord God is most happy with it. That's how Masaaki-sama concludes this part, and I will conclude also today's morning service with this, reminding us what he says here. Once we believe, right, God's light is everywhere. God is forgiving and saving everyone at all the time, all the moment. By doing that, more light illuminate us. Light is already everywhere, but he's saying here that within each and every one of us is illuminating us. When it's illuminated, various thoughts and feelings come up in our hearts and our minds and our heads. Welled up. And then God is receiving that. And through our zoning, we can surrender all these thoughts, all these feelings back into the hands of the Lord. And this work of Johrei, that the Lord God is most happy with it. I understand for many of you, or for many of us, we saw Johrei only with the hand. That's how we learned all of our lives in the church. But now, tomorrow, Wednesday, and this week, we will see how Meishu-Sama was put into practice Johrei, not just by doing this. We are not saying that you don't need to raise your hand anymore. That's not the thing. What we're saying it's beyond raising the hand only. I wish you a great day. Let's have a wonderful week. May God's glory and may God's blessing always be with all of you. Thank you very much, and let's have a great week.